and they're like, I don't know, which one's the one that is it LeBron? they're like, yeah, LeBron. They're like, which team does he play for? And they're like, I think it's the Packers. And then she's like, oh yeah, the Packers are my favorite then. I was like, oh my god, I hate this so much.
3, 2,
1. Well, that's a good transition into our first topic, actually, that I'm going to try to get us on track on because I don't know if any of this is usable.
It really?
It is, because the first topic that I have here is, of course, the Olympics may or may not be coming up. The reason I wanted to bring it up is because I really like the sports of the Olympics, and sports. So we're going to get into a short discussion on what our favorite Olympic sporting event is, and possibly what Olympic event we would be the best in and why.
Easy. I know the answers to both of these.
Okay, jump for it.
All right, favorite Olympic sport is curling, 1,000,000%.
Why?
Why are you laughing?
Because that's like one of my least favorites. Sorry, Canada. I love hockey, so that balances out, but I'm not a big fan of curling, I gotta say.
No, actually, I say that half jokingly, but I think curling is the funniest thing to be an Olympic sport.
Because it's shuffleboard.
It's literally just sliding a rock across ice.
With brooms.
But at the same time, too, I cannot stop watching it.
It's sort of fascinating, but I don't know. It's all right. I didn't like it when I was a kid, for sure. And I think hockey's way more exciting, but I'm sure it's really difficult to do. I'm sure there's like an underappreciation of how difficult curling is.
Yeah.
pretty sure Turkey isn't giving it its full due at the moment, but that's fine.
Yeah. Are you going to call out curling professionals?
Wait,
I'd like to see you do it.
Maybe you should mock all athletes, Turkey.
I'm sorry, you're saying that I'm not giving it its full due when I literally said it was my favorite Olympic sport of all time?
Is it called Is it called like, one who what do you call? Is it a curler?
One who curls.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it's they're curlologists.
Curlers.
Instead of squirrely, they're actually curlies.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is great energy.
We need another member called Cricket, so they can just be sitting there in silence.
What do we want to talk about with curling? Is there anything to talk about with curling, or is that just going nowhere?
That's pretty much it. I can tell you which one I'll be best at.
Yeah, which one will you be best at?
We should
beach volleyball.
We should
Why?
talk about ice baby.
Because I'm tall and I can spike the ball, and I can rhyme, and I do it all the time.
That's pretty good. I believe it. You think you can get on the Olympic team?
I think I would be. I could be with Misty May.
Who's Misty May?
Misty May was a famous beach volleyballer.
Her and Carrie Walsh, I remember back in like the Beijing Olympics, I think.
Yeah, I love them.
I'm only familiar with Mystic Mac.
I'm more familiar with Misty from Pokemon.
Is there a Pokemon Olympics?
We should just sing the Pokemon song from the very beginning.
We should talk. We should talk about what Pokemon would be best at every Olympic sport.
Let's go through all 700,000 of them.
What Pokemon would be the best at curling?
How do you think the guests would react if literally a Charizard just showed up to an Olympic event?
Well, remember they have a very Olympic style event in Pokemon where they have to light the cauldron at I know they do at the Indigo Plateau at least, and then they have to get that like flame of Moltres and it gets stolen. So the Pokemon League is kind of like the Olympics in a way, actually.
I can tell you who would not be good at curling is Charizard.
Can you imagine Charizard curling?
You know who would be amazing at curling? Cubone. Correction, Cubone, bone.
Bone.
What's the I was gonna say what's the best Pokemon, but that's kind of a boring conversation.
Is it though? I
think that's pretty spot on, Turkey.
What?
Okay, well, let's talk about now. Well, we're gonna have to go out of order on this, but let's talk about your answer for the Olympics thing first, Squirrely, so I can use that.
And what was the question?
The Olympic sport that you think is the best or the most interesting, and then the one that you are the best at.
Which one?
The most interesting is definitely hockey, and I am basically a professional hockey player. I've watched so much hockey on television. I'm pretty sure I would own. I think we should transition into discussion on the Miracle on Ice.
I honestly do have an opinion on who's my favorite Pokemon. So I am.
All right, next the Miracle. Actually, to go along my topic for one more second, I actually really do enjoy it. Like in general, I'm not interested in a lot of those sports. But like I actually like to watch. Was it pole vaulting? And
really?
Yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's fun. And then I like to watch. Was it hurdling?
Yeah.
Like
I will say,
I consider how bad I'd be at both of them.
Right. There are particular. I do actually really love watching curling and beach volleyball. Those are my two favorites. But I also like racing. I guess I don't know. Like basically, watching people break records, like Usain Bolt or Michael Phelps or something. Like those are really cool.
Agreed. And you ever go into one of those YouTube rabbit holes and watch like videos of people who like get injured during races and like watch them literally hobble to the finish line, like they're so determined. Like one that gets me every single time is the one where I don't remember what country the kid was from, but he literally, I mean, like, you know, they train like years for this, and then the guy ended up pulling his hamstring mid-race and like fell to the ground, didn't care, got up and literally was hobbling on one leg, and his dad ran down from the stadium and like carried him the rest of the way. Like obviously you're not technically finishing the race, but like for his personal discipline and he wanted to complete it.
Yeah,
waterworks every time.
Aw. Yeah, I would tell my dad, get off the race, the track. I'm trying to finish this.
You're ruining this.
You disqualified me. I was still gonna win.
I mean, if I injured my hamstring, I think I would just cartwheel all the way to the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel bad for the athletes that go through that and then have something happen at the Olympics, because it really is the level of training that those athletes have to do and the dedication to it and the understanding that the competition is so intense where you might feel like this is your only moment to do it. And to miss out on that moment, I feel so bad for the athletes when that happens, because it just must be heartbreaking, and you really do feel for them. It's kind of it's a tough thing to watch for sure. But I imagine going to the Olympics and competing in it must be just to be in that experience. And you know, it might be a bit different with this Olympics, but to be able to be in that Olympic village with other athletes and to just, you know, be at that peak level competition, I really love that. It's just a cool experience.
I don't know.
I would love to represent my country and make my mother proud.
I would love to make Captain America proud.
If I were an Olympic athlete, I would only eat Captain Crunch.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. I'm just continuing the conversation.
I would only eat Fruit Loops.
So are we going to transition to the Pokemon topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So what's the topic on Pokemon? The most interesting Pokemon, or our favorite Pokemon, or the most?
If you could be one Pokemon.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a really good one. I like that.
And you could only be the Pokemon for a day, but when you become a human, you get to keep 2 of their abilities or powers.
Wow, this is becoming really arbitrary.
Oh, arbitrary? Are you kidding me? I think about this every day.
What do you mean 2 of their powers? You mean 2 of their moves?
Correct.
Oh, I know exactly what I would do then.
Well, then you can start with it because I have to think about this. This is a good one.
Ah,
So I think I would pick the same answer for who I'd want to be and what my favorite one is, and that's Gengar.
Ooh, that's interesting. Why is that?
Because he's a ghost and he can fly. Like that's like literally two when you say things in the when people ask you like what superpower do you want like invisibility or flying are like usually the top two. He's got both.
Well, is he invisible or is he visible but invulnerable? Because those are two different things.
Well, I guess good point. But I guess obviously when you're fighting him, like you can see him, but he's a ghost, so they can be invisible. And in that when you're playing the game in the tower of whatever it's called,
That's what they called it, the tower of whatever it's called.
yeah, very technical term.
Scenic tower of whatever it's called.
Yeah, that tower of whatever.
That'd be a great name for a place in Pokemon, the tower of whatever. I'm gonna say that Gengar is not the Pokemon I would pick, just because.
No, duh, because that's the Pokemon I picked.
Thank you. No, I don't think Gengar is that great of a Pokemon in terms of world value, because turning invisible or invulnerable and or flying doesn't seem like that impressive of
it sounds like the stupidest pick I've ever heard.
Yeah. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Oh, I don't want to fly. I think flying is kind of boring.
Well, Mewtwo can fly. Tons of Pokemon can fly, so that's not impressive. So really, you just have to get one other Pokemon that can be
he can literally like nothing can touch him.
Well, yeah, but he's not the only Pokemon that can do that.
Okay, well, name another one other than Ghastly and Haunter.
That can fly and become invisible or invulnerable?
Yeah.
Probably Mewtwo.
I mean, Mewtwo's a solid being.
That doesn't mean he can't become invisible.
And also, Gengar can do psychic abilities as well.
Yeah, I suppose that part is true, but we were talking about having only two afterward. So if you're talking about like choosing between moves, I think Mewtwo has more impressive moves to choose. They can do a lot of different things.
Mewtwo's a legendary Pokemon.
What's Gengar going to be able to do for you? Turn invisible or invincible?
He can hypnotize you and then eat your dreams.
Turkey, you need to understand you made the wrong decision.
No, okay. If you want to bring in legendary Pokemons, we can. But like Gengar is
I said all Pokemon.
Well, then what about you know what? I'll pick what's that?
No. You get one choice.
No. Hold on. Let me have to look up this other Pokemon.
This other Pokemon to find the best.
No, there's a one.
Are you already signed in? Are you backing off now?
No, but I still love Gengar. But if you're gonna go like that,
well, it depends how we want to take it, I suppose.
Oh, actually, interesting that this generic list mentions Mewtwo as the most powerful Pokemon of all time. I was thinking,
I don't know if that's true.
I know. I think Arceus is the one who literally created all Pokemon.
It's like, literally the god of Pokemon. Yeah, it should. I think Arceus is traditionally like considered pretty much a god. So I would say that's a good pick in general.
They picked Mewtwo's number one, Mew is number two, and then Arceus.
And what? You didn't say what this list was.
This is the most powerful Pokemon of all time.
Really? And they're more powerful than Arceus?
According to 137pm.com.
Sounds legit.
And then they have Rayquaza, which sure. And then they have Lugia. I don't know. And then they have Alakazam as number.
Off, other than Alakazam, do you know any of those Pokemon? Because they definitely were not the originals. And
then they have Ditto as number 7.
Some of them were in the sequel, Squirrely, which were like Ho-Oh and Lugia. Rayquaza was in Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald, which was like the third generation of it. So that might be why.
Oh, Gengar's number 8.
But I think there's too many Pokemon for us to choose and work through because there's just too many Pokemon and we might not be familiar with all of them. So I'm going to narrow this down and say, if you had to choose a type of Pokemon to be, and you got like the stereotypical powers based on that Pokemon type, which one would you choose and why?
I'm sorry, you're going to have to repeat that question.
There's a lot of types of Pokemon. Which one would you want to be and why?
A type?
Yeah. Like
I
there's fire Pokemon, there's water Pokemon, there's poison Pokemon, there's dark Pokemon, there's fairy
I still
Pokemon.
really like ghost Pokemon.
Water, earth, fire.
I mean, although like if you want to be like, I don't know, like I guess obviously psychic is good too, but I feel like as a ghost Pokemon you can have psychic abilities and still be a ghost.
Well, that's part of it. So that's why I narrow it down to you just get the type. So you get some of the moves of the type and that sort of thing, but you can't get psychic moves and say, oh, I like the ghost type sort of thing and choose that. So you got to get the moves of the type and kind of evaluate it from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess ghost moves are not the best. I mean, they're good, but they're not like psychic is better.
They're not well
move-wise.
defined, the ghost moves, like how
Yeah.
exactly they work, because if they were ghost moves and they were intangible, they wouldn't work, right?
Right. I mean, dragons.
Unless you
cool,
used
too.
foresight or something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they
Huh.
work on some Pokemon even though they're tangible, though. So I guess that's not really correct, right?
I know what I would not be is ground,
Why?
because that is literally the worst.
By ground, do you mean rock?
No,
they're
that's
different.
actually a separate one. Because ground moves don't affect everybody.
You do
Like if-
electric moves or ghost moves.
I thought you said you can only have the moves of your type.
Yeah, ghost moves don't affect normal Pokemon.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't. 100% don't.
They don't affect normal Pokemon.
Yeah.
Hate to break it to you, Turkey.
Uh-oh, I am obviously not with it with my
Wow. Fake Pokemon fan.
I'm not fake. I'm just original.
Fake Pokemon fan.
Can I just say that I think if I weren't a bird Pokemon, I think that I would want to be a rock Pokemon so that I could have the name
Ew.
Dude at the end of my name. Or I can, like, my entrance song would be Bob Seger's Like a Rock.
I don't know that song, actually.
Or I could refer to myself as oh man, what's the term I'm looking for? I believe it's a Geodude Temple Pilots.
Do you remember Geodude's voice in the anime?
Yes.
I can't do it, but I'll try. It's like Geodude. It's
That's
like
actually
that.
pretty good.
Nailed it.
And then occasionally he goes, dude.
Okay, so going back to the ghost thing against normal. Okay, fair.
I'm gonna go back to the rock thing real quick.
Who's gonna pick normal? So why would I have to worry about that?
Well, I don't know. That would be a whole thing where, like, what are human
I'm
beings?
gonna pick normal. Normal's my favorite type. Actually, yeah, that's a good point. Normal is the worst type.
It is. I will agree with that. I think normal is extremely boring. But
Followed
let's
by
put it
ground.
this way. Normal is like all the moves, right?
No,
So you get all the moves.
normal is literally like tackle.
Well, it's not just tackle though. You get hyper beam too.
I mean hyper beam, yeah, but hyper beam's like also not a great move.
I think normal's pretty relative.
I think normal is, if you want to be normal, that's fine, like good on you, but it's the worst.
I mean, what kind of type is normal though? It's such a boring name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you're talking about, you're like, I can breathe fire. Like imagine like in Avatar: The Last Airbender, if there were 5 nations and it was Earth, Wind, Water, Fire, normal. Like it just wouldn't roll off the tongue the same way. You know what I mean? Like what would the normal people do? Like what would their bending power be? How would you define that? It's just kind of lame.
They just accept facts. That's their power.
Right. All right. Well, which one would you pick, you two?
Do you have an answer, Squirrely?
I believe I made myself clear. I would like to be a rock Pokemon.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, definitely interesting.
Why would that be?
I like the idea of being one with the Earth. Now I might that might be more applicable to being, was it a grass Pokemon or
A ground.
Yeah. because part of me, I would love to be a Venusaur, but I feel like I'd be mightier if I were like Onyx or Geodude.
I'm looking at Polygon.com, and if you're picking rock, you have the most weaknesses of any type.
That's fair, but within weakness, there's strength.
No. I will give you that though. You have one of the most
went wrong.
one of the most super effective groupings too. You're super effective against bug, fire, flying, and ice, but you're weak against fighting, grass, ground, steel, and water.
That's true.
If I'm ghost, I'm super okay, according to this, I'm super effective against ghost and psychic, but I'm weak against ghost and dark.
And you can't hit normal.
Well,
but normal can't hit you.
I don't know if that's true in the newer ones.
It's 100% true.
Yeah, I mean, I see some sites that say it's not effective against normal, but I think
it's not just not effective; it does not hit.
Yeah, but
like
I don't
electric
know.
against ground or ground against
this one doesn't say normal. Well, whatever. But yeah, I will give you that just on the basis that I don't really care to argue about that. But
yeah,
I think
so I understand where you're coming from, because in the first generation, I think there were weird things with Ghost that made it not apply, sort of thing. Because Ghost was supposed to be super effective against Psychic, but it didn't hit it because they like programmed it wrong or something.
Right.
So it's weird. I understand where you're coming from.
All right, Peacock, it's on you now.
I think that I would be this. I think that I would be a. I would probably be a psychic Pokemon, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
According to Polygon.com, I'm going to eat my own words, because if you are ground, you actually have one of the most, the biggest group of super effective groups that you can fight, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, the thing with ground is it's important to remember that like Pokemon aren't evenly distributed among types, right?
Yeah.
There's like in Gen 1, there's an outrageous amount of grass and water Pokemon. So, and ground is almost always paired with rock. So that's what makes it kind of a problem, you know what I mean? Because you have to deal usually with both of those things that like will destroy your Pokemon immediately. So if you were like a rock or ground Pokemon, you might be really effective, but you also have to get paired with rock, and you're generally slow, and you're just going to get destroyed by most Pokemon. You know what I mean? Whereas Psychic's like the opposite, where they in Gen 1 there weren't any weaknesses to Psychic because they messed up the Ghost thing, but Psychic was still generally pretty strong. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was effective against a lot of types. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I guess some of the types aren't really well defined. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like to change my answer now.
What do you want it to be?
I want to be drowsy.
That's not a type of Pokemon. Why would you want to be drowsy? Drowsy is gross.
I know, just kidding.
It's so gross. I've never liked drowsy as a Pokemon.
Or Slowbro or Snorlax. Snorlax is kind of cool. What about like Muck?
Wow,
yeah, left you speechless, huh?
Well, yeah, what do you say about Muck?
Yeah, you weren't expecting that one.
What would you say about Muck?
I asked you the question.
I think that I need to know how poison types work. What are the advantages or disadvantages of being like a poison type in this situation?
Yeah, poison is really lame too. There's actually a lot of lame types.
Yeah, that's why I kind of went through backwards, where I was like, okay, I don't know what type I want to be necessarily, or which one's objectively the best or something like that. But I know the ones I don't want to be. Yeah. I don't want to be fighting. I don't want to be poison. I don't want to be. I like Dragonite in the original series, but I don't know what a dragon type is outside of being a dragon, whatever that means.
Eurogamer.net has oh, I have to accept all cookies, all of them.
You're gonna get all the cookies sent to your place.
Let's see. Normal. Oh, there it is. There it says it there. Resistant to ghost. All right, I'll give it to you. But normal literally is not strong against anything.
Yeah.
And then fighting has 5 that it's strong against.
Yeah.
Ground also has 5. And those are the only 2 that have 5. That's crazy.
Five
that they're super effective
advantages. Yeah, where their moves are super effective. Yeah.
Fighting and ground. So technically, fighting now has 6 weaknesses, and ground has only 3. So really, based on what I was saying, I'm actually wrong. Ground is technically the best. Now, it depends on how many Pokemon are in each, though, because ground is only effective against poison, rock, steel. Fire is a big one, and electric's a big one. But rock, steel, and poison, I don't know how many, like, total Pokemon that is. But that's a pretty big group. So maybe I'm eating my own words. Maybe ground is really the best way to go, and I just poo-pooed it early on.
Well, here's the question, because we haven't really specified. Is there a difference between what's usable in the human world or most effective in the human world versus if you were to become a Pokemon and have that type, which one would be the most effective? You know what I mean? Because those are 2 different things where, and then of course there's defining what exactly the type would be in both the human world and the Pokemon world and its effectiveness. Like the Pokemon world's easy enough to say because you just say, oh, it's relative to the other Pokemon. So you choose an effective type like you're talking about, you get some, that would be a smart thing to do. And you can kind of do that objectively. But if you're talking about the human world, you're not talking about just Pokemon fights. You're talking about what's effective in our day-to-day life. And I think this kind of transitions to, we had a conversation about if we were, and this is really deep in nerd stuff. We're like Alice in Wonderlanding this in terms of how deep we are in, but we were talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender and the types of bending in that and which one we thought would be the best. And we're kind of getting into that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where we're in that world where what's the most effective in the real world in terms of types.
Yeah, that's true.
And
I think those
are 2 different things.
No, I guess if you're gonna pick a type, psychic obviously would probably be the way to go because you can literally manipulate pretty much anything.
Well, is that interaction with other Pokemon's minds though? And does that apply to humans? Well, it applies to humans because I think in the anime they established that people have psychic powers, but it's kind of similar.
The downside of that is you can't necessarily. I mean, theoretically, if you're if you are like a Mewtwo, you can pretty much manipulate anything you want with your psychic powers. But if you're only focusing on psychic being the brain, you can't really manipulate like rock and water and all that stuff.
I don't know if we've established. I think we should do it real world. Like, what's the most effective thing type wise? If you got all the moves, what would be the most effective thing in the real world? And I think Squirrely or Turkey, you're mentioning that psychic would be really useful because you can interact with other people's minds and you can also move things in general with psychic powers, which I think is established in the anime. But I don't know. What do you think, Squirrely, in terms of Pokemon types? What do you think would be the most useful in the real world?
I think Turkey's actually probably right about that. But I personally, I don't know. I was going for rock as more of a cool factor.
Yeah.
But I think any of the natural elements, so like probably a water Pokemon, whether it be for not specifically for fighting, but for home maintenance.
That's actually
always having access to the element that is water. If you're ever on the go and you don't have access to a shower, they can hook you up.
Now, can they create water or they have to be near it?
No, they can create water.
Okay.
Well, water Pokemon can, like when you talk about Squirtle and he, him using a water gun, he can.
Don't ask where it comes.
Yeah, they squirt it out of their body somehow.
Of their orifices.
Yes, thank
I
you.
think I went. Did we talk about the airbender thing on the podcast?
No, we didn't.
Oh, okay, because that's kind of. I think we were discussing that too. But like, if you bend water, you don't create it. But I guess if you're Pokemon, then you do.
Do. Yeah, you do.
That,
I think if you go by the anime stuff, they seem to create it out of nowhere, and Pokemon in the games don't seem to be restricted by a lack of water nearby.
that's
Keep in
interesting.
mind, if you're a waterbender and you're good enough, you can waterbend sweat or even blood.
Well, that's what my point. I think we were discussing this maybe just by ourselves then, which we should have made a podcast. We should never not record when we're talking. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like if you're a waterbender, you can literally probably kill people just by like stopping their blood or whatever from moving within their bodies. But same thing with airbender too.
Well, you can do that already. You can literally do that already in real life. If your goal is to like, like the point of that whole thing is that there are consequences to doing that would be developed based on you doing it, because they'd understand that people can do it. They wouldn't allow people to just like bloodbend people in real life. That's why even within that world,
try and stop
like
me.
they look down on it. Yeah, they'd like look.
I thought this was America.
No, you cannot bloodbend people in America, I'm afraid.
Oh well, don't tread on me.
You do not have the right to bear bloodbending in America.
I have the right. I have the right to do whatever I want. If you're an electric bender and you had a Tesla, you'd be set for life.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
That would be something. That's an interesting type thing in and of itself. I think electricity is quite useful, given how much the modern world relies on electricity, and depending on how you can manipulate it, that would actually be maybe more useful than any of the the four bending types in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Electricity is included. It's part of being a firebender. You have to be.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Yeah, sorry about. I thought for some reason they were connected.
Wow,
I'm dumb.
I think you owe us a
fan.
Okay, so I'll say this: does that change our ranking of firebending? Because we put firebending at the bottom of the list.
Which is interesting.
Wait, did we?
Yeah, we did. I think we all agreed on that.
I agree with that.
Oh yeah, because what was the other one? Water, air.
So like
Earth
I
and
have to
wind.
like think
Earth.
towards the top.
Or sorry, water, air, fire, and water.
Yep.
You just.
Sorry. Water, and water.
Sorry, it's only water bending.
Water,
Earth,
air, earth, and fire.
Air.
Oh my gosh.
You gotta say it like to say on the show.
Did we agree fire was the worst?
Yeah, I think so.
I can't agree with that.
I was gonna say I'm not a big fan of earth bending.
I think maybe you were the holdout that said that it was a debate between earth and fire. And I think earth is more useful than fire, certainly. And I think it might be more useful than water, because water is situational unless you're bloodbending.
I purely want to be a bloodbender.
What does this say about you as a person?
I want my mode of transportation to be bloodbending.
You can't move anywhere. Let you like take the blood out of other people.
Peacock, do you know who Turkey would be? He'd be the only person who's able to take other people's powers away. Remember how the Avatar could do that?
Yeah, that's energy bending. That's a whole thing in and of itself.
Oh yeah, that would definitely be me. It'd be like thanks. Yoink.
Like
You're the heel of the podcast now after saying that.
Yeah, now I'm gonna be the villain.
Yeah.
I disagree with what you say. Goodbye, firebending.
Yeah, I guess earth versus fire. I mean, I don't know. I guess if you think of fire as just like this wave of heat, like you can block it with earth. But if you're adding the electricity to it, that jumps it up. But
Because
that's kind of cheating, though.
Yeah, well, the question is, how does electricity work in this circumstance? Because in some media, I think people have portrayed electricity as being able to like get in your computer and alter it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're a hacker now.
Yeah, so it's like you could hack into computers, but that's not really how it works in real life. You'd be like, that's just not how it works because the electricity just powers your computer. It doesn't control it. So that's an interesting question in and of itself.
I
Where
would be a programming bender.
you bend computer code.
I literally snap it in half. I'm a computer bender.
But you could hypothetically like control everything that ran on electricity.
That's kind of like X-Men too. Like, which power would you like from there? Like Magneto versus Professor.
Just Professor.
Professor X.
It's just Professor. He has no last name or no anything else. It's like my name is Professor.
Xavier. I like Drew.
I think there's a lot of cons to being Wolverine, but I can't tell you how badly I want adamantium to come out.
I honestly think Wolverine is so bad. Like,
He's so overrated within the series. Like Hugh Jackman,
like,
great actor.
I got blades in my knuckles. I will say he can heal. Like, that's cool, I guess. So
that's the main thing that's really interesting is that he can heal and he's basically eternal.
Yeah, honestly, Wolverine is not all that he's cracked up to be. And then the other superhero that's also not as cracked up as as cracked up as he's cracked up to be, I don't really even know what I'm saying, is Batman.
Because Batman doesn't have any powers.
Batman's only power is that he's rich.
Yeah.
I'm Batman.
Well, he's smart too.
And he can. I mean, is he smart because he's rich, or is he rich because he's smart?
Well, it doesn't matter. He's smart.
Is he?
Do you even understand how good a shape he's in? I think you're underselling Batman.
Yeah, I mean, I would 100% be Superman.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's without question. I mean, Batman is a great superhero, but he doesn't have physical talents.
Yeah. Wonder Woman, I'd rather be her. I'd rather be Aquaman. I'd rather be the Flash.
Aquaman.
I'd rather be
Well, I guess compared to Batman, yeah.
Spider-Man. I'd rather be Iron Man. I'd rather be if you want to talk about
well, Iron Man's the same way because he developed that suit.
Yeah, but at the same time too, he developed a sweet suit. Like,
yeah, but then you're getting into, are you inheriting superpowers, or are you inheriting like the intelligence of the people or their circumstances?
Iron Man is a better, smart, wealthy superhero than Batman.
Okay, well, yeah, if you want to compare those two in that way,
Batman's like literally the worst superhero of all time.
Why?
Any further? Can we just imagine Turkey as Aquaman?
I think being Aquaman would be pretty cool, actually.
Oh, hey, big fishes, come over and protect me.
Especially after
tattoos, and I want to drink a lot of beer and not have it faze me.
Or Thor. Oh my God, being a god. Speaking of electricity,
you really think Batman's that terrible?
I mean, name a worse superhero?
Well, there's tons of them that don't have any powers or don't have anything outside of their own intelligence, and they just use
a lot of stupid superheroes. Like if you ever watch the series Flash, there's literally like he calls himself Elongated Man. All the dudes do is stretch.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I guess if we're gonna include every single quote unquote superhero ever, fine. There's probably worse.
Kind of what you asked us to
look
do.
At. Yeah, because the Batman franchise is all about people who really don't have superpowers in general. Like you look at Robin, compare Robin to Batman, and Batman's a lot better. Compare the Joker to Batman. What's the Joker's power?
I think your focus is all wrong. You're focusing too much on the concept of a superhero. Like
I think Batman is a hero. I don't think he's super. So if you compare him to superheroes, he's bad. But if you compare to like regular human heroes, okay, fine. He's probably up there.
Yeah, well, that's because.
But the importance of Batman is it's that he goes above and beyond, and he accomplishes all of these tasks and keeps his city safe. Always.
Does he though? Does he when Gotham is literally like the most crime-ridden city of all time?
Well, it's not his fault. He's one guy.
Is it? It's not.
10 times worse. Property
actually, does he ever get anything done?
Well, remember that I think Superman also canonically lives in that world. So if you've got a guy who's got pretty much superhuman or godlike powers and he hasn't just fixed up Gotham and is leaving it to Batman, then who's the real troublemaker here? Why has Superman not cleared it up? Why is it on Batman to do that?
Is he
Superman's like a godlike being, and then you're like, oh, Batman hasn't cleaned things up, and he's just an ordinary human. He's so terrible, but Superman's great, even though he's a god and he hasn't cleaned up anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, what do you say to that, Turkey?
You know what I actually have to say about that?
What?
Do you know what I have to say about that?
I have to say the level of disrespect for Batman it's just too far, I gotta say.
Are you asking me if Superman is willing to prevent evil but not able, then he is not omnipotent? And is he able but not willing, then is he malevolent? And is he both able and willing? Well then, whence then is evil?
There's a question here, if I can get down to the root of this, of if we wanted to have superpowers, which superpowers would we have and how do you define superpowers? And that's different than saying I would like to be like this person. You know what I mean? There's a difference between saying I would like to have the physical qualities of a person and saying I would like to be that person. And I think that's I think
superpower has to be something out like that's superhuman that a normal human would not have. So that's the definition of what that means.
At this point, I agree with Turkey. I just don't want him to be right.
Yeah, I'm now taking the villain role. I'm an energy bender, and I'm now taking the energy of the villain.
I think I kind of want to be Flash.
That would be cool.
But no, wait, didn't we ask what power we want, not who we want to be?
Yeah, well, the question was, how do you want to define that?
So this is a definitional game now.
Well, yeah, because there's a difference between the physical powers of someone and being the exact copy of that person. We sort of talked about last time, but expanded out a little bit so that we can get a segment out of this maybe, or make something of this, which is we've talked a little bit about the places that we've traveled to in terms of trips, but what are the countries that we most want to visit or find the most interesting?
So back to superpowers. No, that's a great question, Peacock.
To go to Belgium.
Wow.
Have you ever been to Belgium?
I would like to go to Belgium. Is because I've been to Belgium. Belgium
That's boring.
I want to go to Belgium because I've been there.
The chocolate in Belgium is to die for. The beer selection is like none other. And good golly, Miss Molly, have you had their waffles?
Wow.
And I believe the EU is headquartered there, if I remember correctly.
EU.
Did you know that Brussels sprouts did not come from Brussels? Did you know that Belgians eat French fries with mayo?
Yeah, Americans also do that too.
Oh, really?
With mayo?
Mayo and ketchup, if you mix them together, that's like a West Coast thing.
What? I've never heard of that.
Hey, Turkey, go ahead and name your destination.
Well, if we're going to name places that we've already been to.
Oh, that wasn't the question.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think that's how you answered it.
Countries to visit.
Oh, I just happened to have been there before, you know.
I will say I will go off the grid slightly and say Croatia, highly recommend. That's it.
That's the only country you want to visit?
Turkey, thank you for sharing.
No, I've been to Croatia, and I would highly recommend everyone visit.
Okay, yeah, that's very good. Yeah.
Would you care to share any facts about Croatia, whether it be the cuisine, the people, the tourist destinations, the cigars?
I will say, how we did our trip was, I think, is an excellent way of doing it. We flew into Zagreb, and we rented a car and drove the entire coast of Croatia down all the way to Dubrovnik. And that way you can stop in multiple cities and see all their national parks, which they have two gorgeous, like unbelievable, like fairy tale-esque looking national parks that blow. Although to be fair, I haven't been to all the major awesome United States national parks, but they're pretty incredible there, and they got nice waterfalls and all this stuff. And then when you're passing to Dubrovnik, which if anyone is a Game of Thrones fan, that is
I
where
was just about to mention that. Yeah.
that's where King's Landing was filmed. You have to pass through a little area of Bosnia and Herzegovina, so you're actually technically driving through a second country to get to the rest of Croatia because it's not connected.
Wow.
And it is wow indeed.
Yeah, it seems like.
And it's really cheap.
Is that along
the trip? Is that everything?
Is it the Adriatic Sea that borders that?
I think it's the Aromatic Sea.
I think it's the Adrian and Rocky Balboa Sea.
I'm literally trying to remember because it's the sea that's east of Italy, and I can't remember what the name of it is.
It is the Adriatic Sea. You are correct.
Yay!
East of Italy Sea.
I'll take seas around Croatia for 400. But yeah, I think the Balkans would be an interesting place to visit for sure.
Oh, do you?
I do. I think it's cool that you got to go there.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And you went to that famous city in Greece, the coastal. Is it an island or a coastal city with the
Santorini?
Yeah, that would be the one.
I also did a day trip to Montenegro, which is also kind of a little bit more exotic of your European countries. So that was really nice.
Yeah, we need to do a European trip at some point. I know we talked about going to the Olympics in 2024 when it was in Paris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I've never been to France, and I kind of want to visit. I have a friend who spoke very highly about it.
Yeah.
There's a place in France.
Wow, good job.
Thanks. Are you familiar with the song?
Yeah, I think I am actually.
That's good. Thanks.
Yeah. You know where I really want to visit? That's kind of
France.
Yeah, thanks.
That's kind of off the beaten trail a little bit.
What?
France.
I'd love to go to Australia or New Zealand.
I think Australia would be cool, except for all the animals that can kill you.
Agreed. I would freak, like straight freak. The amount of snakes. Oh God, I would.
But it's not like I don't know. I feel like there aren't that many. There shouldn't be that many that can actually like kill you. It's not like there's one killer animal per Australian or something like that. I feel like it's one of those things where you can at least avoid it if you're smart. It's not like you go into the airport and you walk in and you just you get attacked by a kangaroo. Like you walk through the airport and you get outside and like where should we go? And then a taxi drives up and a kangaroo jumps out and just like kicks in your ribs or something like that.
All right, I'm gonna read you Thrillist.com. Everything in Australia that's trying to kill you.
But it's the amount, the quantity of animals, not just that there are animals.
15 spiders. There are around 520 species of spider wriggling around Australia, most of which are extremely venomous and will not hesitate to bite if you encroach their turf. Then there's crocodiles.
There are crocodiles in Florida.
Crocodiles.
There's waves. There's Russell Crowe. There's cone snails. I've never even heard of that. There's rugby players. Okay, this is There's sharks, there's kangaroos, there's drop bears. Drop bears closely resemble koalas to fool you into liking them, but have zero qualms about dropping from treetops to attack.
Great. That's a good boy. No, no.
Yeah,
Giant,
well, what we're
giant
talking about is like the equivalent of saying that I don't want to go to Florida because there's gators down there. You know what I mean?
no, but this is not just gators. This is literally everything.
I know, but it's the proportion of animals that are down there, and there's tons of crocodiles and alligators, which apparently crocodiles are way more aggressive than alligators. But there's still a ton of crocodiles down there, and it's
Are there a ton of crocodiles, or are they mostly alligators?
Alligators.
well, there's tons of reptiles that will attack you sometimes.
Yeah, but this literally is like all the animals.
But isn't it about the quantity as opposed to just like the
Are
the
you
dangerous
really
quality
having
of it?
quantity versus the quality debate?
Yeah, well, if there's one animal in Australia, in all of Australia,
I literally
they're
listed
talking about.
15.
I know, but my point is, if there were one animal, I'd be less scared of one animal that could just obliterate you out of existence versus 1,000 crocodiles in Florida or something like that. You know what I mean?
Can you imagine if there was an Australian mafia boss named Kangaroo Jack?
These are the top 10 most dangerous. This is top 10.
Yeah, but just because they're the most dangerous doesn't mean that there's going to be a million of them around. It's not like Australia is populated only by these animals.
But if there's 10 different animals that are going to kill you, then they've got to be around the area.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that the risk is equal among them. There's a better chance of you dying in I think either the world or the United States. There's a better chance of you dying because of a vending machine falling on you than a shark attacking you. So the point is that just because something seems more scary or maybe more deadly on the surface doesn't mean it's a greater risk to you dying.
Well, I mean, I guess I agree with that, but the fact that there's more animals means that there's a more likelihood of you encountering those animals just because there are more to choose from.
That's not true.
Well, I mean, like,
that's blatantly not true because
if you say that there's only crocodiles in Australia, well, then you have a certain population of crocodiles. But now we're also adding box jellyfish and taipan snakes and blue-ringed octopus. So even if you add only one of those animals to the already crocodile group that you're talking about, now you've automatically have more to worry about.
Okay, so this is like really straightforward. It's just risk assessment. So what you have to do is you have to say what you have to say is for every crocodile or every animal you interact with, what is the risk that that's going to kill you? And what you're saying is the animals in Australia have a high risk per animal of killing you. They're just more deadly. But it might be that the whole risk in general is a lot higher if there's more animals. So if you have 1 million crocodiles around, then there's going to be a greater chance of you dying from a crocodile than something
well, yeah, but do you know
than one spider that you might not ever interact with? There's just more of a risk of death with it. It's like shark attacks aren't going to happen in Kansas. You know what I mean?
Well, what argument are you making? You literally are saying, like, do you know the actual numbers of how many crocodiles are in wherever you're talking about versus Australia?
Well, the point is
no.
No, but here's what you need. You need the number of crocodiles and the risk of an individual crocodile killing a person. And then what you can do is you can times up. You can
it
just
is not that complicated.
It is, and that's how you could calculate it. You could say, here's the risk of you dying because of a deadly animal in Australia versus somewhere else.
Well, I'm sure they have that, but my point is,
and it's probably much lower. That's my point. Like
you're saying, you're saying then where?
Australia,
you're saying it's much lower to die in Australia than where?
1 million crocodiles, they're not going to have the same risk of killing you. I'd assume these deadly spiders.
We're not comparing 1 million crocodiles to one stonefish in Australia. We're talking about obviously there's going to be more than one of each, but I don't know the exact numbers, and I don't even know where we're comparing it to.
Okay, that's fair, but do you think there's really do you think the risk of death is really that much higher, and that there are that many of these destructive animals?
Yes, Australia is known for its deadly animals.
Yes, but that's not the same thing as saying that there is a large quantity altogether of it.
Okay,
There
you know
may
what?
be one spider, and yes, that if you run in that spider, it kills you 50% of the time. But if a crocodile kills you 1% of the time, and there's a billion crocodiles in Florida, and there's one spider in Australia, you should be more freaked out by those billion crocodiles than the ones.
Squirrely.
Because I think the argument that Turkey's trying to make is that each of these animals in Australia have psychic powers.
And all the ones in Florida are ghost type.
I'm tracking.
I think those animals you're talking about aren't maybe. I think people say, oh, one kangaroo could cave in your ribs. And that's true. And it may be that you'd rather run into a crocodile than a kangaroo. But that doesn't mean that Australia is more of a risk to go to or should be labeled with that sort of deadly animal perspective. You know what I mean?
It's more of like fair enough. Like I don't think he's quoting stats. I think it's more of like on the surface, it's an explanation for his level of fear.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he's quoting stats here.
You're not like okay. This whole this whole argument, I don't understand why we're having it. Australia has deadly animals. It is known for its deadly animals. So by definition, if you have a lot of different groups of deadly animals, then it's going to be, you have to look out for deadly animals. I'm not saying that other places don't have deadly animals, but the fact that Australia has so many different kinds of deadly animals that can kill you versus, yeah, maybe there are a billion crocodiles in Florida.
Like, there aren't a billion crocodiles in Florida.
I mean, there could be. We just don't know about them. But like, my point
they're all in the water waiting.
Like, Australia has so many different types of deadly animals that, like, you might, I don't know, like, you might come across one.
But that's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. You have to analyze.
It's not the same thing as what?
You have to analyze relative threat.
I don't have to analyze it.
I want to go to Australia because I might run into one of those. Then it's not a realistic threat relative to, like, say, it would be incorrect to say, like, oh, I don't want to go to Florida, or I feel safe going to Florida, but I don't feel safe going to Australia if the relative risk level is higher in Florida for animals. That's
okay. Okay, relative risk of going to Australia based on
no one has done this calculation before.
Based on their deadly animals. I'm looking this up. Here are the animals really most likely to kill you in Australia.
That's not what I'm asking about. You need the number of those animals.
Australia Geographic. Australia is renowned for its venomous snakes, scary spiders, and even painful plants. But the animals that pose the biggest risk to our lives might surprise you.
There you go. That's my whole point. People don't even know the relative risk, so they'll look for.
So basically, what this is saying is the scary, deadly animals that we're afraid of, they're not even the worst part.
Well, that's like saying, oh, you're scared of sharks. Well, have you ever seen vending machines before? Like, yeah, that may be true, but it's about people having a inaccurate relative risk. So
can I just point out that at this point, I feel much more comfortable with the idea of going to Australia.
I mean, at least there's not a billion crocodiles. If I had the choice of going to Australia or literally going into a den of a billion crocodiles, I actually am more afraid of a billion crocodiles, though. I will give you that.
Do you know where I'm pulling that from, though?
No.
So have you guys? I've seen this online. It's
oh yeah.
Have you seen this? Have you seen this argument?
Is it the lions versus the whatever?
Oh my God, you know it. I'm so surprised you know it. What do you think of that?
I remember I had an answer, but I forget now what it is.
Really? I would hope you would have the correct answer on the topic. But
Wasn't it like
really
a guy with a gun, which was high on my list, if not the number one? And then wasn't there like 100 lions, and then there's like 1,000,000 crocodiles or something, and then there's like
what? That's not how it goes. It's for Squirrely's reference and for the audience reference. The joke argument is who would win, all of the Pokemon or a billion lions.
Oh no, that's not the one I was talking about.
Okay, that's a different one. The one I saw was about the billion lions and all the Pokemon. So that's a different.
The answer is all the Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean that's clearly the answer. Would you agree, Squirrely?
Let me look at my argument because that was I thought that was an interesting one.
Yeah, the billion lions thing is I think people only take the billion lions thing as a joke at this point. I would hope.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
Okay, here's the actual meme. So you this one says pick two. They will defend you, and the rest are coming to kill you. Okay.
Okay.
So the options are
Arceus. That's my choice.
the options are 50 eagles,
Oh.
10 crocodiles, 3 bears, 7 bulls, 1 hunter, 15 wolves, 10,000 rats, 5 gorillas, and 4 lions. So you pick 2 of those categories, and then they defend you against all the other ones that are trying to kill you. There's a clear answer, in my opinion, for this one.
4 lions and a hunter.
Okay.
I'd take all of the rats in a hunter.
Okay.
But my real answer would be I'd be getting out of there because I don't think anything's going to save you.
Well, I'm pretty
sure even the people defending you are going to come after you.
they just all get mad at you.
Yeah, what if there's a psychic type Pokemon? They'll just turn everybody against you.
No, there's not Pokemon. This is animals.
Wait, I thought you said you had to fight all the Pokemon with those options.
No, I said you pick 2 and then you defend and they will defend you against other
I thought
options.
you meant like the rest of the. I thought you were going to Pokemon. Sorry.
No.
Wait, pick 2. Are we talking about sports?
No, it's the you pick 2 from Panera.
Oh, got it.
No, I think the hunter would clearly be the choice because the intelligence factor would make up for it. I don't know. Do you work backwards from what you don't want to face? Is that your first thing?
I would go a little mix of both in what you were saying. You'd want to get the heck out of there. So I would say you have to have the eagles because they can fly you away.
Can they?
I mean, why not? There's 50 of them.
Well, can you control them?
Well, I mean, obviously they're defending you, so.
Is there any way?
That's not the. I don't.
Is there any way Gandalf could be defending me?
So I guess that's an interesting point. If you're saying they literally just have to fight each other, and you just have to sit there and hope your team wins, that's a different question. So that's a good point.
Yeah, because the eagles would not be that useful in that case. I feel like,
right,
especially against the large animals. I'd go large animals but then the large animals couldn't stop like the rats from going after you, right?
Yeah. I might pick the hunter and the rats.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
If you're doing pure straight up like 1v1.
Wait, not
1v1, but like
can the rats turn into people like in Harry Potter?
No.
What do the rats do to attack? What do they do? Like, what's their mode of attack?
They just bite you, and they give you the Black Plague.
There's one rat named Peter Piper who's just playing a flute, and they just.
But the rats can't attack the eagles, right? That could be a problem.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. If you're saying they have to fight each other, obviously they have to come in contact.
But can the eagles just fly around the rats?
Well, they have to come in contact if they're going to fight.
I think the rats are already in a civil war.
Yeah, the rats can't get it together.
That's the thing is like if the animals can only get through or get to you through the two things you choose, then I think I would choose the rats and the hunter, because the hunter has more situational intelligence, hopefully, and the rats have the numbers that make it difficult to pick them off. And
Right.
to stall, I think those would be the two most useful and the two hardest to kill.
What if it's just a college student named Hunter?
I don't know. What would you choose, Turkey?
I would say if they have to fight each other, I would pick the hunter and the rats.
Oh, so we're on the same page.
Yeah, I said that first.
What happens? What would you choose? A billion crocodiles, or all the animals in Australia?
If I would choose, I would choose unlimited crocodiles. Just non-stop crocodiles.
Have you heard the one thing that makes me chuckle in the lions versus Pokemon debate? Is people argued, they were like, well, what about the flying Pokemon? And then they argued that the lions would all stack on each other and make a ladder to go after the Pokemon. And I'm just like, what kind of argument is that? It's kind of great though.
I would love that.
So I'm imagining it with the rats, like making this giant rat mecha.
I will say, I mean, 10,000 rats is a lot, but it's not like unlimited rats. It is still a finite number. But
do we need more rats to make it more even?
No, I think 10,000 would be fine, because that's 1,000 per crocodile, or that's 3,000 per.
Where did the crocodiles come in here?
I told you there's 10 crocodiles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're picking. Yeah, wait, Squirrely, did you pick yours?
I did.
Which one did you pick?
I picked the hunter and the lions.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the right choice, but
Not, but I don't want to face lions.
yeah, but how are they going to kill the rats?
I'd rather die by rats than lions.
Oh God, that's so what you're picking is, so we all pick the hunter, which I think you have to.
Wait. I think I don't mean to interrupt, but I think the meta maybe is like which one you'd rather die to at this point, because it doesn't sound like you're winning no matter what, right?
So grim.
I think you would win if you have the hunter and 10,000 rats.
But you're assuming they have bubonic plague.
No, I mean they're gonna bite you to death. Like what are 4 lions gonna do against 10,000 rats?
Will the lions and all the other animals hunt out the rats? Like, will they kill them? Are they being forced to? Because that isn't something, you don't see that interaction very often. So
that's why. I mean, obviously, this is not a real life scenario.
But then, what do I base this off then?
You base this. Oh my gosh. So okay. Anyways, we are picking
off of whether or not they're in Australia.
You're picking. Yeah. This whole thing changes if it's in Australia.
Because you gotta account for all the other animals.
Right. I mean, you gotta account for the stonefish and the taipon snake or whatever. We chose 1 hunter and 10,000 rats to beat 50 eagles, 10 crocodiles, 3 bears, 7 bulls, 15 wolves, 5 gorillas, and 4 lions. And,
I think I'm running actually, now that you mention all those animals.
And you what?
I think I'm running after you mention all those animals, because those eagles are just going to go right over those rats, I think.
And well, no, they have to face each other. That's what we decided. They have to fight each other before they. So whoever's left over, then either if your people are left over, you win. If you're not, then you lose.
Okay, so let's say the eagles killed a hunter or something like that, do they have to move on to the rats, or they can move on to me after that?
No, they have to beat the rats.
So
I think they'd kill them eventually, though.
I mean, think about it though. To kill 10,000 rats, like I will say, if they have to literally bite and claw 10,000 different things. Like that's.
Yeah, but the rats are like no threat to them.
No, they are. They can jump on them and bite them.
Yeah, but that's not going to kill them.
I mean, if they bite them a lot.
You think they're gonna bite them? How many bites would you have to get to that point where those animals would
I don't
die?
know. If they go for the jugular, it might not be too much.
50 bites a minute specifically.
And how are they going to get on the eagles?
The eagles have to face off against the rats, so they have to come into contact.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain how like the eagles can still fly away tactically.
Well, it's not actual eagles. It's actually the Philadelphia NFL football team.
The whole Philadelphia Eagles.
It's 50 Philadelphia Eagles and 3 Chicago Bears.
and then a couple Detroit Lions in there.
Right.
You don't have to worry about
Chicago
them.
Bulls and the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I don't know. I still think I agree with you that I think the rats are the best bet, but I think if you have to wait there for a while, I don't think you're going to win that battle.
I will say, there is that's a potential if the Eagles are smart and they just swoop down and pick off a few rats at a time, and they keep doing that over and over and over again, they could theoretically win.
Yeah.
But at the same time, too, then you got the hunter shooting at the eagles.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. If you could coordinate it so the hunter kills the eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the hunter can kill the land animals fairly reasonably. You got the crocodiles would be tough. I'll give you that. But the bears, the bulls, the wolves, the lions, and the gorillas, I mean, you just take them out with a headshot each.
Yeah, that's true.
And then
crocodile's tough.
Then the rats and the eagles are facing off, the crocodile versus the hunter, as kind of a final thing. But then, I mean, let's put it this way. Let's say it's the rats versus the crocodiles. That's a tough one, like for both, because how are the crocodiles going to kill the rats, and how are the rats going to kill the crocodiles?
Well, the crocodile can just keep its mouth open and just swallow all them whole.
Yeah, but I mean, the rats can just like run around it and just like get on its back, and then
not once they get in the stomach. I was reading that crocodiles have an unbelievably acidic stomach, so if they go down that stomach, they are getting dissolved in there.
Yeah, well, they'll probably bite its tongue and its mucous membranes on the way down.
Okay.
And then you have all of Australia's animals.
Gosh.
And then turkey, and then Squirrely's choice is 1 hunter and 4 and 4 lions.
Yeah.
1 hunter and 4 lions.
We call ourselves the Sexy Six.
Let me hold on a second. You have 1 hunter and 4 lions to beat 10,000 rats, 50 eagles, 10 crocodiles, 3 bears, 7 bulls, 15 wolves, and 5 gorillas.
You haven't met this hunter. He's kind of a big deal.
Good luck.
Yeah, I don't know how that hunter can kill those rats. I think the rats are just
I'm just gonna go ahead and admit I'll probably be the first one dead.
Well, there is a logic behind this where you assume that there's no way of winning, and then you're just looking for the best way out.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I'm still gonna die by crocodiles, so I'm gonna rethink this.
I mean, look, the rats aren't that effective, admittedly, and that's my thing with it is, are the rats really going to be able to bite people or bite animals enough? Let me get wiped out enough.
Let me put it this way: if you had to face off against, well, yeah, I don't know. If you had to face off against 10,000 rats, like I would just be like, okay, goodbye me.
Well, my thought is, I think I have the sense that you're probably doomed no matter what.
Yeah,
and I think with that point, and with that in mind, if you have that logic, then maybe you can fly away with the eagles. Never fight the fight in the first place.
Well, that was my initial thing, but you said no.
Well, you were saying they have to confront each other.
No. I initially was saying I would pick the 50 eagles because they could fly you away. And then you said, well, that's whatever. And then I said, oh, are you talking about them? They have to fight each other then.
Oh, I thought we.
No.
Okay.
My initial thing was I would pick the hunter and the eagles because the eagles would fly you away while the hunter just shoots everything.
The hunter can just die.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. He can die for me. I don't care. And then, and then then we started discussing. Oh well, like they have to fight each other.
Is the
But
hunter
if-
that useful though?
I mean, a gun. It's not really the hunter. It's really the gun.
Future peacock.
Future peacock.
But
I will say, yeah. Which one would I rather die by, though? That's an interesting point.
because I have this, yeah, like I said, I have this sense that you'd be doomed no matter what.
Well, which one would you rather die by? I have a hard time picking any of them.
I think I would want the hunter to kill me.
Yeah,
I think I just want him to shoot me in the head, and that would be the end of it.
that'd be a
'Cause
quick
all
way.
the other ones are probably going to be more painful.
Yeah. Yeah, like crocodiles, no. Eagles, no. Bears, no. A bull. I mean, if a bull just like kicked you real quick, that could be quick.
But it'd probably spear you.
Yeah. Wolves, no. Rats, absolutely not.
No, rats would be the worst because it would be a very slow, painful, like tearing piece of you apart death. I would never
Yeah.
want that.
A gorilla would like rip off your limbs.
Yeah, the gorilla would be terrible too.
Yeah, I think I'd rather die by the hunter.
Yeah, so I guess in that case,
Unless
I would
he's-
make sure the hunter is
unless
not
he's
on my
sick,
side,
right?
and then force the hunter to shoot me.
Right? I'd be like, just kill me and end this quick.
Yeah, because that's the least painful way. I mean, unless they're going to shoot you, like, you know, unless they're sadistic or something like that.
Yeah. And he's like, actually, I'm going to shoot off one finger at a time.
And then in that case, he would probably be the worst.
Yeah. And then I'm going to bloodbend.
He's like, I'm gonna bloodbend you.
He's like, actually, I forgot to mention this. I'm also a bloodbender.
It all comes together.
You're like interviewing all of these animals. You're like, all right, what skills do you have? You have
I'm a
like,
bloodbender.
you have the 4 lions sitting in front of you. They're like, well, we can eat and maul whatever comes our way. Oh, okay, well, I'll call you if I need you. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us for Podcasted Forward.
Thanks for lasting with us longer than Squirrely.
Yeah, and thank you for indulging us in the most bizarre, all over the place episode yet. Although, who knows if it'll look like that at the end. But thanks for joining, and we'll be back, and we hope you're enjoying this. And remember to subscribe and all that because it helps us out. And share who you think would win in this situation. A billion crocodiles or Australia.
Or the entire continent of Australia.
and then the other thing we mentioned, of course, too.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys and girls, and yeah.
And crocodiles.
Yeah. Actually, just delete that whole last part.
No, this is how we're ending.
No. Delete all of that.
It's here. It's done. We can't get out of it.
It's never going away.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, bye everyone.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for taking a ride on Spaceship Piff. If you're interested in another trip, check out one of our other videos. And consider leaving a comment on our most recent podcast about how you paid it forward.